Good afternoon, everybody. I just got caught with my camera down. Just kidding. My camera fell. It is so great to have everybody here in the studio. Well, not in the studio. I'm in the studio. Barry's in the studio. And this is a glitch in the matrix where things just got glitchy at that last second. Oh my gosh. How's everybody? And boy, we had a great show on Monday. I had Barry Littleton here and we talked about portals of all things. And today we are continuing that conversation. What's up, LIB? I see you in the chat. Thank you for being here. We are going to kind of continue that conversation today. Barry is back. And something that I spoke on was the portal that opened up in my base camp with my team several years ago. And there were two creatures that actually tried to crawl out of that thing. And they were described to me. The name of them was a Preta. And so today we are going to be exploring Pretas and much more. Okay. I had no idea what a Preta was. For the longest time, I said that was probably a Bigfoot because I didn't know what else to call it. I just heard it scream and it threw stuff at me all night. Okay. Well, these are a real ghoul, actually. Flesh and blood and flesh and bone, y'all. But also ethereal as well. And there's a whole bunch of different types of these things, and they go back to ancient times. And this will keep you up tonight. Okay. So buckle up, buttercups, as I like to say. We have a wild ride. Barry has done some extensive research on the midwayers, I think is what they're called, out of the Urantia book. And I think they have some connections to that. We're going to get into the pale crawlers today as well. And it just so happens that a good friend of mine, Drewski, with CW Ops, Cryptid Warfare podcast, hit me up this morning and was talking about a creature called the Screecher. I think it's called the Screecher. And we are going to maybe make a connection with that with this today too, which is really interesting. Okay, so shout out to Drewski for that actually for that information. I love connecting the dots, y'all. And we have some major dots to connect today. And so let's get to it. If you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows and get the archives and check out my social media, go to the one-stop shop for all things Cryptid Huntress. That is my website, thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of that there in the calendar of my events, which I forgot to update. And also you can find my Patreon link there as well. And also my shop link too. Okay. Well, let's see here. There we go. My computer's a little bit slow today. Okay. There we go. I'm going to take that down before all hell breaks loose. But you guys, thank you so much for all your support. Thank you to all my members of my Patreon and of all my Hunt Club members here on the YouTube channel. You guys, your support means the world to me. So I do appreciate each and every one of y'all. Okay. Well, I also want to thank my mods for being here today before we get the show going. And thank you guys so much. And let's get to it. All right, let's do it, y'all. Okay, so on this episode of A Glitch in the Matrix, we're exploring the terrifying experience that my field research team experienced up in the North Georgia forest, in the deep mountains, deep woods of North Georgia. What appeared to be a portal opened in our camp. We're going to get into that a little bit today. And a couple of creatures tried to crawl out of it. I know. And I didn't really talk to him too openly about that until today. Okay. So what was later described as Pretas okay, to our team. The head of our team has a lot of experience with this stuff. Okay, and what that the way he described it to us were Pretas, not Bigfoot, not Dogman, none of that. There's other stuff out in these woods. Okay, and Preta was how it was described. They do mean hungry ghost, for lack of a better term. That's what he called it. And we're going to talk about that portal a little bit today. And of course, when I say these things, whatever this was flesh and bone. It screamed, and it was one of the scariest encounters that I ever had in all of my Bigfooting days. Was that night, and whatever it was solid enough to throw rocks and acorns at our tents all night. But let me tell you, I survived. I didn't get eaten. And when that sun came up, I breathed a huge sigh of relief. But I didn't leave. I stayed there all night, okay, with my team, of course. But what exactly is a Preta? We're diving down this rabbit hole today. And to help me dive down this rabbit hole, I'm taking Barry with me. Okay, we have Barry Littleton here. He is a researcher of all things supernatural, paranormal. He's an experiencer when it comes to ETs and UFOs, and has a lot of near-death experience, things like that. And so please help me welcome to the show, who you can find on his YouTube channel and his Patreon, Barry Littleton. Please help me welcome Barry Littleton.
Hey, what's up, Jessica? What's going on? It's unexpected this morning, so I'm sorry I'm running a little bit behind here, but thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here.
Hello to everybody in your group also. I'm going to follow your lead on this one because it's a little bit different one. I'm not real experienced on this one, but maybe I can add a few things, so it'll be fun.
Well, here's the thing. I'm experienced with the experience because it's my own. But we're going to dive into what these Pretas are today. And I am not familiar with Preta, so I'm actually going to be reading my notes today, okay, with a lot of this. But see, you have the experience, the research. You've done the research on the Midlanders, or isn't it called the Midlanders or the
Midwayers?
Midwayers, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting how that just happened to come up this morning. That's
weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny how that happens. It was in the ethers, I guess, to come out today. So yeah. So, on Monday, thank you so much for being here on Monday. After the show on Monday, my friend Keith, who's our wildlife biologist on our research team, he came over, and he and I, my son and my dog, we all went out to the woods and went to go do some hiking and look for some Bigfoot sign and tracks and stuff. And not necessarily portals, although we were always looking for portals. Okay. But we went out there after the show. So we were able to get out and do some fun stuff after the show. So I'm sorry I had to leave so abruptly on Monday.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right.
We had to get to the woods.
That was an interesting day. Labor Day was fascinating. So I had a lot of family coming by right after that. So there's no problem.
Oh, great. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I hope everybody in the audience, everybody here in the U.S., y'all had a great Labor Day, and everybody stayed safe. I hope nobody ended up at Lake Lanier. Okay. That haunted lake. All right. That is the consistency of Jell-O. All right. So if you went to Lake Lanier, raise your hand. I'm looking. But anyways. All right. Well, let's get into what we talked about on Monday. I had mentioned a red grid portal that opened up. And that's something that, like, I have never heard anybody else talk about. I kept my mouth shut about it for a long time. It was something that our team had experienced, but I was waiting for somebody else to mention it, Barry. And I've never heard anybody say it. It was like something off of like the movie Tron, okay, or like some kind of 1980s design, okay, like a red neon grid, okay, right? Doesn't that remind you of that?
Yeah. For the record, though, I thought both the Tron movies sucked.
Oh gosh. Well,
Youngly had something called Auto Man. Those are TV shows similar to that. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. You're my movie buff. Okay, you're the movie guy, and I do respect how you feel about 1980s movies because you know them better than I do.
Gee, thanks. Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
That dates me just a bit.
Okay. Yes. Me too. Me too. Okay. Well, like I said, I'd never heard anybody talk about these portals, and for after the show on Monday, I did do I do funny artwork and stuff. I try to, like after the shows to kind of advertise for our shows, and this is what I came up with here. It's like a portal with an arm coming out of it, and that is what happened in our base camp, basically. Okay, but it didn't have a circle around it; it was just a grid suspended in the air. Okay. And so with this one, it looks like a Dogman or like a Bigfoot or something dark is coming through this portal. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I did not see the creature coming out of it. I only heard it. Okay. The head of our team, there are other people who did see it, who literally saw it and screamed. They yelled something and the portal like kind of closed up. One of them got sucked back into it and the other one got popped out of it. Okay. And so after this happened, all we heard was just the loudest, most god-awful scream, and you could hear it running behind all of our tents down the way. I mean, there's no trail there. There was nothing. It was just running through the woods, and it was screaming. It sounded like a mix between a woman screaming to an animal. It's almost like a Bigfoot, but it wasn't a Bigfoot. Like Bigfoots have a wide range as far as their vocals go, and their vocal range is outrageous, and their lung capacity is really big. Well, that's what this was. It was the same, but it wasn't a Bigfoot, Barry. Mm-hmm. Okay, whatever it was, I in my mind I was thinking it was a Bigfoot because it's like, well, what else could it be? It ended up not being a Bigfoot.
Okay. Question: What did you? I might have missed this part when you said it. What did they see? You said you heard it, but what did they see as far as
what was seen?
Just the arm? You were saying
it was a whole body. There was two of them. Okay, this is just a representation. I just have I'll be honest with you. I did have like an arm that was in my art thing, so I just threw an arm in there. Okay, but it was two bodies. There were two bodies, dark bodies like this, that were coming out, crawling out. Basically, he said crawling. I was told crawling. And so they were, one of them was halfway out and the other one had not come out all the way yet. And when he screamed, this thing started closing up. One of them got spit out and the other one got sucked back in. And that's when the thing started screaming, was when the other one got sucked back in. It was almost as though it was mad, upset, and grieving. Okay, it sounded like grieving or something. Like it was like, how dare you? Do you know what I mean? Like you sucked my partner back in the portal. Like now I'm stuck here and he's gone. It was that kind of a thing, and you could feel it. It was palpable. Like you could feel the emotion in it. Is whatever this was running behind our tents in this camp area. Now we're on top of a mountain out in the middle of nowhere, miles from anywhere, miles from civilization. I mean, like many miles from the nearest. I mean, sometimes occasionally you can hear like things from a nearby town, like late at night, if it's really quiet, you can hear like the loudspeakers from like a football game or something, because it's on top of a mountain. Okay. But other than that, and that's for miles and miles away, right? When I say we're in the middle of nowhere, we're in the middle of nowhere. But there were two flesh and blood beings that were trying to crawl out of this thing. One of them was, like I said, it was halfway out, and the other one was about to come out, and then it got closed up, and so that is what happened. Okay, that's what happened, and I do, I actually, this is before I had a podcast, before I ever spoke publicly about Bigfooting. I mean, first of all, I used to sit around thinking about, like, if I ever spoke publicly, what would I even say? My life is so weird out here. We experience so much more than just Bigfoot. How do you put this into words? What we experience out there. Well, here I am doing it today. Okay, I never thought I'd be able to do this. But we were up all night that night, and the wind was blowing a little bit. I do remember that. And there were oak trees, and acorns were falling throughout the night. You could hear the acorns hitting our tents. And yes, before the audience is like, because I'm not looking at the comments, but if you're wondering, why did we not stay up all night and have our cameras out and have our thermals and FLIRs and like stand guard? We don't know. We don't know. It was one of those things, Barry, where we were all, within an hour, we all got tired and we all went into our tents to go to sleep, but none of us slept. Nobody slept. But we all laid in our tents while this thing was hitting us with acorns and rocks all night. And here's the thing, like, we could hear the acorns when they would fall from the sky. They were falling from down, going like up, going down. And you'd hear that. You could hear the trajectory going down, but then you could hear the trajectory of things whizzing by our tents and hitting the side of our tents. So it was like, pshoo, pshoo, like that.
Sorry,
so it was different.
I was under the impression that there were like trees there, and the acorns were falling from the trees.
They were. Some of them were. Some of them were. But so we were hearing the acorns falling down off the tree. So you could hear that. And there was a distinct difference where there were things going, horizontal, hitting our tents. So we were hearing it coming from both directions. Like these were coming from the trees. And then there were other things that were coming from the sides. Yeah. It was pretty crazy.
Almost like the grid you were just showing.
Yeah, actually, yes. Kind of so. But we're out in the middle of a kind of like an open area. This is a place that we get the more negative activity up there, kind of like this. Okay. And so we usually put our tents spread out and don't get close. But this time we all put our tents close together in this one area where we could hear each other if there was an emergency and stuff. And I remember this is the place where I was laying in my tent on my cot, and we were just getting pelted with rocks and stuff with our tents. And the head of my team, I remember he goes, "Remember, we do this for fun." He like whispered it, and I heard it, and I was right there beside his tent. My tent was by his tent. And I was like, "Can you shut up? Shut up." Oh my God. But yeah, it was wild. It was wild, Barry. I don't know, a normal person wouldn't have stuck around for that.
and these beings that they saw, they just described them as being these dark beings. Like what features, what detail?
They were just dark. They were almost just black, shadowy figures, like black, like dark, almost like a shadow being or something. Okay, and that's why I put that arm for that picture as being like something dark. It looked like that, if you can see that.
Okay.
Yeah, but they were humanoid as well. Okay, so first of all, tell me your thoughts on all of this. What do you think? What do you think about it?
A couple of things that really stick out to me, and my references may be weird, so I don't want to like offend anybody or take it people like, oh my gosh. But to me, something sticks out that you say that's a place you've already had negative experiences or negative energy of some type. And when I look at that grid, the way you described it, I mentioned on I think it was the last show that you mentioned that we had kind of came across a point to where there was that this thing called an ore station that people can find in this book here, The Keys of Enoch. You can go in the index and look up ore station, ORSTATION station. Anyway, that's the device that I believe there's several of them still functioning on Earth. There's one of them out there in Mount Adams. And during when I had to do that dreaded Skywatch, because I was one of the presenters, Barry's not into the CE5, sorry folks, but we had to do that. So I made everybody do this pineal gland exercise just so I could get the drop, because I noticed that everybody was using it as a judgment, like, oh, Stephen Greer went out there in Nevada and no ships came. He cleared the skies and such to this. And they're all using this as this gauge of how you can gauge, I guess, the type of contactee somebody is. If a bunch of ships show up, you're like, great. If none show up, you suck. I guess that's kind of like it's your rating systems. Yeah. So I said, well, I'm going to get the drop on these people. So I had them do this pineal gland exercise. So we went out there, they could perceive maybe a little more. Okay.
Okay.
But right after this exercise, I mean, what's cool about those conferences, we've been to a couple together, and you've got so many mediums and psychics and contactees in the audience, that are really advanced, a lot of them. But they're saying after we do this deal, they're saying, well, I'm seeing this grid. It looks like a tic-tac-toe board. And they're describing a grid like that. Now, the color, I never heard red given, which I think is significant in this case, but that's this grid. And I was pretty sure it was the field of energy that this ore station inside Mount Adams is emitting when it scans people's life memories. It scans your life memories. And it's something that you might need, like something you haven't had, like say you haven't seen a Sasquatch before or something, it dispatches this orb technology. And the orbs meaning they could be microscopic, okay, and they get in your field of awareness and they push your consciousness forward. At some point, you're out there going, whoa, I just saw a Bigfoot going across the field and it just disappeared. Or you're seeing crazy craft or orbs or something happens that pushes your perception forward. And it's that device out there doing it. And the reason why I had you remote view it is because before I ever met John Vivinco and saw that video he did remote viewing the aliens of ancient of Assetti Ranch, years before I'd seen this, like a couple years before this had happened. 2 years later, I go out there to speak. I wanted to see him because I discovered what this device was inside this book. And his team had saw it and described it. And I described it in my regression from when I was out there the first year. So I wanted you to remote view it, and you saw something too. So anyway, that's what that. So that just, sorry, that was too long of an answer. I apologize, but
No,
that's what has me interested in the grid, though. So we know the grid could be used as a way to scan people for reasons like that, or also as a portal. So, number two, when you told me that, okay, and I'm not a religious brother, okay, I have no religion, but I have studied a few of them and tried to take some things out of it. And when you described the screaming of this being when it got sucked back in or whatever,
it got popped out.
Yeah, what was brought to my mind, and some things I think of, some things kind of is influenced. It reminds me of that story, and I believe it's the Christian Bible, where it talks about Yehoshua rebuked and banished these demons, and they're in people. And just before he did it, they started begging him, "Oh, please don't send us back home, back to hell.
Oh,
Please don't." And he showed mercy and cast them into the pigs. Look, I'm not a biblical scholar, so I don't want to get that deal at all. I don't know. I'm not no expert, but I'm sure somebody in this chat or somewhere can elaborate on this much better than I. But he cast them into the pigs, showing mercy. But when I read that, is showing that how much actually the lower levels are uncomfortable, even from those beings that might be from there. I would think some beings come from that darkness and they would enjoy it, but maybe there's something horrible about it. When I had these earthbound spirits telling me the others that are in the body tormenting them that aren't people, and it's telling them, well, hey, when that guy comes, they're talking about me. When he comes, you better not work with him. If you do, you're gonna go down to the pit. And I asked, well, what's the pit? And the earthbound will tell you, I don't know, but they say it's darker than here, and it hurts more.
Oof.
I'm not in this person's body. It's very dark. You know what I mean? So that's something that is connected, in my opinion. So when you say that, wherever these things are coming from, it's like they don't want it to go back. More than just the caricature of those that know Superman, like when Darkseid comes through one of those portals, a boom tomb like that, and then they soon send him back. He fights it. He don't want to go back through that portal, and that's where he's in king of whatever there. You know what I mean? So I think it's taking those two references and maybe tying them together. But just hearing you say that and the way it made you feel, and he is dealing with these screams and things, and it's just I think these dark beings. To me, it's most uncomfortable, but it is what it is.
It is. Thank you for all that, Barry. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was very uncomfortable. Okay, so this was in the days before I think I had a camera on my phone. I know I did because I took a picture of myself the next morning. I was like, I'm going to remember this forever. And I took a picture of me sitting in my tent with a frowny face. I was like, I can't believe this happened. Because I was like, I wanted to have a remembrance of that. If I can find that picture, I will post it one day. So I had not slept a wink. I had to drive home that day. I was so tired. And I was just a wreck. I was a mess. I wasn't like a wreck, but like I was just like, I was hurting that day because I mean, I had just been up all night.
See that whole thing, that disturbance, getting those emotions going, that energy generated coming from you. They're beings, they're feeding on that. Whether they come through that portal or not, it's that area. You know what I mean? It generates that type of a portal, this natural portal that's connected somewhere, whether it be the levels of fluidity or the levels of, frequencies that just go, that are dark. And it's interesting because when you look at just historically in almost each religion's concept of hell and all these things, it's always coming from the ground and down below, which is, I think, more of us putting it into physical context. But I find it interesting nonetheless, and that there, what you're describing is almost a feeding ground. You're all wiped out. Think about the people that hear the voices and stuff, the same thing, they'd be wiped out. After the voices dog them out and tell them a bunch of stuff that they suck and they kill themselves, and then they're all wiped out after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we don't, we don't live in fear at all. And I don't think a lot of us were like scared. We were just listening and observing, but it was taking the life out of us, all of us, every single person out there, every one of us. Listen, if we had been scared, we would have left, or we would have been out there with our guns drawn or something. Okay. We were there. This is why we go. We go to get accosted by weird things. Okay. Yeah.
Let me throw something else out. I'm sorry.
You want to go camping with me, Barry? I'm going to take you camping.
I don't do s'mores, and I haven't pitched a tent in a very long time. I was a Boy Scout. That was like probably 1981. Anyway, something else about that, just that whole red portal part thing. And there is this is gonna sound weird, but to me it kind of makes me think of the law of thermodynamics, the second law of thermodynamics, which basically, to my primitive understanding, is that when you have something that is like a closed system that's generating energy and making energy, there is something that runs off called entropy. And entropy is that energy that is lost within the closed system. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I kind of think that maybe that's what those portals could possibly be. The ones like that. You know what I mean? Something that has to do with entropy and maybe negative entropy. And that those are beings coming through and coming from negative entropy. So it's just food for thought. I'm not saying everybody I'm right, but it's just something to think about. Check out the second law of thermodynamics and maybe how scientifically that could tie into what you all experience. Food for thought.
Ooh, yeah. That is, because that is the one place that is the negative place that we go to. But we go there because we get the most activity there. Okay. But this was the one time, and this happened years ago. This was not recent. Okay. This was before I was ever public about anything. And so it happened a while back.
Jessica, what else happened there? Negative.
Mm-hmm. That was the most negative thing. There's not a whole lot of like, when I say negative, I don't mean like if we felt like our lives were in danger. Okay. If I felt like my life was in danger there, we would take more precautions, let's just say. I almost feel like this place where we go was a place of like, I hate to say this, but it's almost like an initiation into the high strangeness. Because the guys that we go Bigfooting with and stuff, like they know where all the good spots are. Okay. Where all the Bigfoots are. And it's almost like we got immersed. We got submerged into the high strangeness and the cryptids almost purposefully so that we would be prepared. It's almost like we go there. It's like, when you're like ninjas will train, right? Ninjas will train. You gotta know how to be able to fight. You got to spar, right? When you're, let's just say like an MMA fighter, a kickboxer, anything, in order to know how to really fight, you can't just go out, and expect to know how to fight naturally. You got to practice. I'm serious. It's like a sport.
I'm sorry. You make me laugh because it's because you.
Wax on, wax
It makes me
off.
think like you get on YouTube, you can type in Kung Fu Master versus MMA fighter, and man, these MMA fighters are just messing up these trained masters of all these different Kung Fu arts. Because you know why? Those MMA people are the one is they get paid to fight, but they also have that killer instinct to come in and just choke the hell out of people. That's something natural. They're one of those type of people. You know what I mean? And those cats, they come in, they grapple with them, they grab them Kung Fu masters, they take them out quick. I mean, it's like
they're bloodthirsty.
You know that Joe Rogan cat. He was, before he got into all dog and Bigfoot and paranormal stuff, he was a big time MMA cat. He was pretty good. So he'll do little things, skits, and like laugh and look at what happens to this Kung Fu master on this one. It's kind of disrespectful in a way, but I mean, it's just. But when you say that, it makes me think of that. You're right. If you sometimes because you've done all this forms and all that, but you've not done any actual combat, and you get in there, or you've done movie acting or something, you get in there with one of those real MMA cats, you get choked out, just like that. Look what happened to CM Punk from the wrestling. He got jacked like in half a minute. Anyway, sorry.
I know what you're talking about. I mean, when I used to play rugby, I played at my college, and I came up to Atlanta, and I was friends with the coach there. He's one of my coaches from Georgia Southern. He was coaching one of the women's, or actually the men's team, one of their teams in Atlanta. And they asked me to come out to, maybe play for that women's team. It's like I don't know if you call it, I wouldn't call it semi-pro or anything, but it was some kind of like club team or something. And I got out there, and I realized I was playing with women who had never played before, and they just wanted to go kick somebody's butt and hurt somebody. And so I ended up not playing because I was like, they're dangerous. Okay. Like, because they don't know what they're doing. Somebody's going to get hurt. Okay. And so anyways, I know what you're talking about.
That's like football, man. I mean, couple of football cats, man. Those dudes are about 6'8", man, weighing about 325, 350, and they down there, jump on you and hit you head first. No, thank you, man. I don't want to play that sport.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I think it's funny that I did make that connection, though, to like training for like a fight or training for something. You have to get in, and you got to go get your feet wet if you're going to go out and experience all this other stuff that's out there. Do you know what I mean? And to learn how to handle it, and to go to places like that, to have no fear. Okay. Because once you just start getting used to it. I mean, that's the thing. Like like I mentioned, like we all just kind of like went to our tents, and everybody laid down, and nobody panicked. We were just like, oh, well, whatever. We were kind of used to a lot of stuff happening there already, but nothing that was like a portal opening right there. That had never happened before.
Jessica, you think it's possible that maybe you all even got zapped before that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it could have been something. It was almost, because the way I describe it, it's almost hypnotizing. Okay, it's almost kind of hypnotizing where we feel like there's like for no reason. It's like, well, it's time to turn in for the night, everyone. We just traveled for hours to get here. And we're here to stay up all night, but yet we're all going to sleep. It doesn't make sense. And I've heard other researchers say the same thing that happens to them when they're out in the field.
Well, one last question.
Okay.
Do you feel that this grid, do you feel it was a natural, negative or not? Do you feel it was a natural phenomenon, or do you feel it was man-made?
Well, with the grid pattern, it seems like that would be man-made or some kind of consciousness made. I don't know, but it seemed more, honestly, it seemed more kind of natural. Kind of came out of nowhere like that. And by natural, I don't know. What does natural mean at this point? I don't know. Like natural, like organic. Yeah, it seemed organic, I guess. I don't know. Could have been some kind of ET technology or something. I mean,
I'm saying not it wouldn't be the same probably as like a target individual type of.
Oh, like we were being, that's interesting. I never thought of it like that, because we talk about cryptids being assets and getting unleashed into go and cause trouble. It could have been, Barry. It could have been. We could have absolutely been being targeted right there, for sure. It's like, cue the Pretas, let them loose. They're having fun around the campfire. You know, it is. I do feel like we live in the Truman Show too, Barry, because I mean, you had even mentioned that you have, okay, we have these experiences where you get those OR stations and then they send out, they scan your consciousness. Well, what if I mentioned before, I don't know if I've talked to you about this before, where we were at another location at the same area, and we had, my partner and I had missing time. We had a UFO craft flying over us. We had orbs. We had craft in the sky that were moving in triangular patterns. And upon remote viewing, what happened to us, the remote viewers saw holograms come out from my head and holograms come out from his head. And it did a body scan of us. This is where we're having all that activity in this field, right? What if it scanned me for my life memories and stuff, and then it put all these little orbs in our environment to give us all these experiences? It's like we're living in an alien Truman Show. That's what you were describing.
Yeah. You know, like I'll give you an example. Okay, and I'll speak from personal experience on this. Like that first year of the 3 year I went to that ranch and spoke. The first year in 2016, look, my butt, I got blasted. I'm not a young cat, and I thought I was past, after my near-death experience, past a point in my life where I was going to have experiences that just stopped my world. You know what I mean? And that's the ones I always pay attention to. And I went out there, and I got blasted. The very first night I'm out there, I'm watching these, at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm watching these craft come from over the woods over here, and then some of them coming out of the mountain. And they're starting to move like kind of close, and I'm watching them. They're doing like what my Native American friends always call dancing. They're dancing kind of. And I was hanging out with somebody, but they were gone, and they left me out there for like 45 minutes. I was out there watching those things.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah, so, you know, but when I see something like that, I'm trying to tune in and see what is my superconscious picking up? What is my subconscious picking up? What kind of communications can I do, and trying to see? And seemed like I couldn't able to fully get through. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That bothered me. Don't like getting beat. So I did a regression for it for the second time I got invited to speak out there in 2017. I got blasted so hard out there with several different things, including the holographic mountain and the Sasquatch leading the stuff on the doorstep and all that other stuff happening out there. Okay. So I had to know what I was dealing with before I went back. Especially feeling like I've been inside that mountain, the very little that I do sleep. I mean, sleeping maybe 3 hours a night out there. And I felt like I've been inside that mountain when I was sleeping. You know what I mean? So I wanted to know what I was dealing with. So I did that regression so I would be prepared when I went out there the second time. And that's a lot of the things that I had found right there. Is that was, you know, it was really, really intense in terms of, but anyway, one thing is that the first time I saw these ships that first night, I did the regression. I wanted to focus on that too. Like, what was I picking up? I've tried to tell people before, it happens in my regressions a lot too. If you're somebody, and this is before, Jessica, before the era of the drones, okay, and how popular that is and common that is now. But the years before that, if you're somebody that saw a UFO and you're saying, oh, whoa, that's crazy. And you're maybe in a group of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people, and you're talking about a UFO, and the other people go, where? And you go, it's right there. And there's maybe one person that can see it or nobody. And he's looking at it for, just maybe, 5, 6, 7 seconds, less. But during that time, the amount of information that can be transmitted to our superconscious, to just our subconscious, is incredible, especially when you're dealing with beings that are truly on a different frequency, which is a word thrown around too easy, or a different vibration, especially a faster one when they communicate with us. And so you may see that thing, and then, 2, 3 nights later, you're having weird dreams about being somewhere weird or hanging out with weird people or weird beings. And because of the time lag, you don't connect the two. You know what I mean? That's at least our consciousnesses don't a lot of the time, because we're too busy doing all this other stuff. Or you got to raise your kid, you got to take care of this, you got to take care of that. It's real hard. You know what I mean? But anyway, the point being, out there, I want to know what it was that if I had 45 minutes, something happened. Okay, it was like I didn't consciously get a hold of it. So I did a regression for that, and here I am looking in there, look into it, and I'm seeing this what looks like a bridge that is almost looks like shale, type of shale, and it's like I won't call it a cauldron, but it's similar to that. And with all these stalagmites, I think that you call them, going up, and standing around this thing is like an 8-foot tall feline being. And it had the legs of like the cat, but it was standing, and it had on this, it looked like a Swami jacket, almost like the one from, like, anybody remembers Buck Rogers of the 24th Century with Gil Gerard. They had these, their dress uniforms, these real hot collars on it. It had a collar like that on it. I mean, it was fresh. I would sport it, what it was wearing, and it was wet. And what I felt off of it, so then I tripped out. After this regression, I'm like, okay, did that thing scan me and realize that I've had experiences, all the experience I've had something that was feline type of energy, but was non-corporeal. And I can't say I was from Lyra, I don't know, you know what I mean? But it was non-corporeal feline type energy, but I've not actually seen a feline being on a craft. Okay. And did this thing scan me and say, well, this brother's not seeing a cat being, so
let's show him one.
Here you go. Yeah, and it flashed an orb that got in my biofield and changed my reality. And that I had to be under hypnosis, accessing my superconscious to perceive it.
God.
I'm not saying fully that did happen, but I put that on the table. I don't know. And it's a possibility. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with that type of technology, that type of ability to project holographic environments and things to us, almost a quantum synthetic environment on the spot, aka jump room type of thing. Not quite, but similar type of things. So sorry, I get too excited.
Barry, this is like groundbreaking information, though, to me. I mean, because when you're talking about, even with the OR stations and stuff, sometimes it takes me a while to wrap my head around what we're even talking about and what I've remote viewed, right? And and to have the idea to have things. I mean, it's almost like implanting thoughts in our minds or having like screen memories. The head of my team, my original team always said all roads lead back to ET. Well, this is true. I believe it 100%. And man, I mean, I have so many thoughts in my head right now. It's like, I know we're here to talk about the Pretas, y'all. Okay, we got to get to the Pretas.
Oh, sorry, that's right. Yeah. Hey, real quick, I'll read this real quick and we'll go to that, because I want to know what's up with the pot bellies. Anyway, I'll tell you. Or stations. Network centers for the docking of technology from advanced civilizations capable of travel between galaxies and super galaxies. Okay, that's what he has in this book, and that's what we did. If you can, on your channel and mine, I've got. We did a show on that.
We've done shows. We'll put it down in the comments after the show today. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And a question with the Petras. What's up with the guts?
Okay, well, we're going to get into that. Okay, we've got to get into the history of the Pretas. Okay, but first we do have a couple of questions pertaining to what we've already discussed. The first one was, well, let's get to Rose first. It says, whatever happened to the cryptid who got locked out of the portal, or that got locked out of the portal? Well, it stayed up all night. It disappeared when the sun came up. Whatever it was disappeared. I don't know where it went, but there was one that got sucked back into the portal. The other one accosted us all night. All night. It never left. And we don't know exactly where it went
until the dawn.
Until the sun came up, it was accosting us, throwing things at us all night. It never
just like
stopped.
Sasquatch does. They quit at dawn too.
Exactly. Well, that's why it'd be easy to mistaken that for a Bigfoot, because it had the same characteristics. It was doing the same type of interactions with us crazy campers out there that it would have a Bigfoot would have done, but it wasn't a Bigfoot. So we don't know what happened to it. I have no idea. We also have, and Beth said, she left a comment. I just had it up. She said, well, it's a good thing y'all didn't get sucked into that portal with it. Well, here's the thing. That's true. This is where we introduce the conversation, which we don't have to go there right now because we need to get into the Pretas, but of weaponized portals, Barry, and people and beings being able to reach into our reality and grab us and suck us in and take us out of this reality. And, kidnappings, missing 411. This isn't a national park. We were on federal land in this one particular area. Okay. Taking people into those portals. Where do they end up? We don't know. Another galaxy, right? And also we have another question from Corey. Corey Cole's in the chat. What's up, Corey? He says, Jessica, did the portal make any sound when it closed? No, there was no noise. The only thing that I heard was a yell, and I heard the scream that lasted for a while. Okay. So that's all that I heard. So thank you guys so much for all those questions. Oh, and also I want to thank LB for the super sticker as well. Thank you, LB. I appreciate your support. That's very sweet of you. Okay. Well, let's get into these Pretas, because there's a lot of different depictions of these things. It's almost like a mix between a ghoul and a gremlin, kind of, and a pale crawler. If that couldn't be more terrifying. And Barry, you're familiar with pale crawlers, right? We've talked about those before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we've even shown a video. We had a video of some that were like at a mine, and these guys were like throwing stuff at them, and people said that was a hoax. I think that might have been a real video of real pale crawlers.
Oh, because construction workers. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what we're talking about. That's supposed to be a pale crawler. It looks kind of like an alien, actually.
Wow. When'd you find that one?
I found all sorts of stuff on the internet, Barry. It's just from the internet. It could be AI, but I don't know. This is allegedly off a trail cam. There's actually a bigger picture, and this is off of it's a blown up picture off of a trail cam. These are pale crawlers. My friend Don Tart, who I have been doing Bigfooting with since the very beginning, he has a picture of a pale crawler in his driveway in the mountains in like South Carolina. Okay. These things are pretty common. Now, when I was looking for AI generate, of course, I put this in the AI exactly how it was described. As far as the Pretas go, these are some of the pictures that it came out with, which this is how it's described, but also what's on the thumbnail today. Almost like a goblin. Okay. So I have to say, they all have a big pot, a big belly.
Sorry.
But there's a reason for that, Barry. Okay, there's a reason for that.
What's going on?
Okay.
Human guts in there, or what is it?
No.
Human body parts?
Gosh.
Like chud?
Like chud. Yes, like chud. Here, let me take this one down. Okay, so let's go back to the history of what these things are. Pretas, the hungry ghost. Okay, they're often translated into being a hungry ghost. There's 3 different types of Pretas. We're going to get into that. But they have a significant role in Buddhist mythology. Okay, so these things are actually more common in Asia and in India. Okay, now I think, if I'm not mistaken, that video of those pale crawlers with those construction workers was in India. I'm pretty sure. Somewhere either there in the Middle East, which the jinn are very popular over there too, right, Barry? In that area.
Yeah, definitely.
But these are beings who suffer from insatiable hunger and thirst, often depicted as tormented spirits caught in a cycle of suffering. Their existence serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of unwholesome actions and the nature of desire. So they're almost like a cautionary tale. But it's just like with a lot of these like mythological creatures, there's some truth behind them as well. But they're being, they're kind of presented as like not real, but there's just a cautionary tale behind it. But in the cases of a lot of things that happen to us out in these woods, some of our national parks, in the mountains, it's a place where mythology crosses with reality, at least my reality, and it collides. And this is one of those places, and this is where we encountered a Preta, or 2 of them actually, and one of them stayed in the camp all night. Now it can be traced back to ancient beliefs that predate Buddhism. In early Hindu texts, ghostly beings existed, but they were reflecting the human fear of death and the afterlife, of course. But we all know ghosts are real, right? Most of us do. But as Buddhism emerged, the concept of Preta evolved, integrating elements of the older traditions while developing unique characteristics. They're just basically, it's just a being who suffers from being greedy and living a life that was like full of materialism and stuff like that. Okay. So that's what that is. Now, they're often associated with vampires. Okay. And I just flashed a picture up on the screen, and I didn't mean to show that one yet, but we can talk about this because this is actually a very similar looking being right here. Okay, now these are actually out of I believe it's the Philippines. And this is called the Aswang, ASWANG. And back in let's see, what year was it? I've covered this on a show before. Okay, the CIA used vampires to fight communism in the Philippines. And they actually went in and did a psyop. Now, this is all for entertainment purposes only, but the CIA went in and performed a psyop where they, the people that lived in this one village where they were hiding some like communists or whatever, I don't know. And the CIA went in there to like flush them all out. And they pretended to be Ashwang. They did something to where they made the people there believe that the Ashwang, they were like vampire demons, basically. And this is basically kind of what these things are said to be as well. But this was called the Aswang. It's out of the Philippines. They may have actually been talking about Pretas. Okay. It could have been that, because it does look similar to that right there. But I did want to connect those dots because we have covered that before. Now, they are often depicted, we're talking about Pretas, they're often depicted with emaciated bodies, swollen bellies, and necks that are thin and constricted, representing their inability to satisfy their hunger and their thirst. It just serves as a stark reminder to not be greedy, okay? But so they're said to be doomed to suffering. And here, the reason their bellies are so big, they're almost like, some say they're like cannibalistic, but what they do, they have been doomed or cursed to roam the earth or roam whatever realm they're in, and they eat feces and vomit. Now, and that's why their bellies are so big. Now, Barry, that sounds like hell to me, right? Now, that's where I was wondering, maybe we should get into like the midway stuff, okay, and maybe that connection. But I did want to go over the three types of Pretas, right? We have the hungry ghosts. That's what that thing was supposed to have been that we encountered. Those are constantly in search of food and drink. We have the greedy Pretas. They're driven by an insatiable desire for wealth and material possessions. We have tormented Pretas, spirit suffering from emotional or spiritual anguish. Okay, and like I said, they are often depicted in Buddhist cultures. Their grotesque forms serve as a reminder of not doing things that you're not supposed to do. Okay, and let's see. Yeah,
these are cursed individuals. These are cursed individuals, basically, right?
Cursed individuals, 100% cursed. But see, like in the Buddhist tradition, they actually try to leave food and offerings out for these things because they don't want them to have to suffer. Okay, because it's all about the suffering of mankind, and in the afterlife, like they don't want you to suffer. But these things are doomed to suffer. But it was at their own doing. Okay, because they lived. These were once mortal humans. Okay, they were once mortal humans, and now they've been basically damned or cursed to live a life where they go around eating poop and vomit, basically. Yeah, I know, right? And that's what came into our camp. Oh man, I'd much rather a Bigfoot or Dogman pop through a portal.
Okay, question: how did you make the conclusion that those beings out of that portal were Petras? Or
I'm not the one that said that. That was the head of my team. The head of my team, he actually saw whatever it was pop out.
Okay.
And he knew immediately what they were. He knew immediately what they were. He's dealt with them before, apparently.
Sorry, I didn't know. I thought they were only these black type creatures. Mm-hmm. I didn't know he saw more detail than that. That's why I asked earlier.
He saw a lot more detail than any of us did. Okay, so they said they were once mortals ensnared by their own materialistic obsessions. Their unquenchable greed in life begets an eternal hunger in death. And while they are often subjects of offerings and rituals aimed at their ceaseless hunger, their presence is traditionally viewed as ominous, a bleak shadow cast upon the living. And okay, they serve as a cautionary symbol, as I keep saying, okay, to a mirror held up to the living. And it kind of makes me wonder too. It's like, oh man, see, you threw in the whole OR station stuff, and it's like the orbs are like, we get our scan, they scan us, and then they send out these orbs to like put things into our reality. It's like a holographic universe, and it's like the Truman Show. And now I'm wondering, like, my brain hurts right now. Like, I had this whole angle I was taking today on this show, and now I'm like, well, that's all out the window now in my head. Okay, because this could all be, I want to say, like, holographic. Okay, and when I say that we all live in our own realities, like, I mean it. Like, we all live in our own realities. Not everybody experiences the same thing we do. Okay, but wow. Okay. I'm sorry. I just got too many things in my head right now.
And they're supposed to be physical cannibals also, right?
Yes.
So all they eat is feces, vomit, and human parts?
Some of them. Yeah. That's why their bellies are so big. It's like they're, let's see, I'm looking at my notes here. Yeah, there are, like I said, in the Buddhist tradition, they do leave out offerings for them and stuff because they want to give them compassion. And of course, it also helps with their karma, the Buddhist karma. Okay. They accrue spiritual merit. So yeah, it's all about karma, of course, too.
Yeah, so these creatures would be different than the midwares we were discussing earlier.
Okay.
Even whether primary or secondary. But what this does make me question is, are these more akin to, because like secondary midwares would be also what we're called jinn as well, yes. I believe. But these things are different. It makes me wonder, do these kind of cross over, do you think, with the troll kingdom? Are these connected to like trolls, do you think?
Well, here's the thing. I think that they're more closely related to pell crawlers, whatever like ghouls. I'm going to say like a ghoul.
Yeah.
Yeah, mm-hmm. A ghoul, a pell crawler. I think it's like the creepypasta name is a rake. And that's like something that's kind of like made up. But I mean, I don't know. People want to get so technical.
Rake and ghouls are the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing. But then people say, like, I've had people complain. They're like,
pale crawlers and rakes are the same things, right?
Yes. Yeah, but rake is something that was made up by like creepypasta, I think.
Creepypasta.
Which is like a kind of made up stories stuff. So it's just like a name that was given to what a pell crawler actually is now. We actually, some of my guys, our team, we were out there at that S Walker cave investigation. There may have been a pell crawler in that cave when the guys went way back in the back, went way farther back than I did in that cave. That was a skinwalker cave. Okay. And these things are known to live in the caves.
Do they scream too? Make noise?
Well, okay. That's a good question. Yes. I think pell crawlers are known to make noise, maybe screech. And I did mention, I think it's okay that I talk about this today. I'm not going to give you all the details on what we're talking about, but Drewski talked to me. We talked this morning, and he's one of the guys that saw this pell crawler back there. I think they have a video of it. Okay, and from our investigation. Well, he was asking me. He sent me a text. He was like, "Hey, have you ever heard of a screecher?" And I was like, "What is a screecher?" I was like, "Is that like a pell crawler?" I said, "Is that a pell crawler?" And this is a picture that he sent me. Some of the guys on the team had done some research on something, an experience that someone contacted him about. And this is the closest thing that they came to describe what this person had experienced. It was a screecher. Okay. Now, this is all new to me, but it was interesting because it lines up with what we're talking about today with the Preta. Now, this is some kind of like European, I think this is out of like, I don't know, like Northern European, like Icelandic tradition or something. I'm not sure, like from Finland or Sweden or something. And so it's European, but it's very similar to what we're talking about today with this. And it looks like a ghoul. It actually looks a lot like this right here, except for this one. That one's got an innie and this one's got an outie on a belly button. Okay. Oh man, I'm not trying to make jokes, but I don't know why.
It's I keep thinking for some reason, and I could be off on this, but Pugweegies. Don't they look somewhat similar? A little.
I think
like that and a troll kind of.
A tiny one. Well, the ears maybe the pointy ears.
And I'm trying to think of these ones that, because Credo Mutua, he actually displayed several different beings that were of African lore, Zulu, and it was one of them, and it wasn't a pudge Ouija, but it's kind of similar to this, but it's not called that. I'm sorry, I can't tell you exactly what it is. I'll try to find out later on, but yeah, sorry. Anyway, that's
Well,
Beth. How you doing? Beth's real great, good people.
Oh yeah, hey Beth. Yeah, we've covered several different types of ghoulish, like gremlins and stuff. I can't think of the names of all of them right now, but the puckwudgies are very small. They're like little people, kind of. But Beth is asking, can those things shapeshift into animals? My son said he saw a deer morph into something like that when he was out in the woods hunting. Man, we were just, Barry, you and I, didn't we talk about did you come on my show? We talked about the elk that shapeshifted.
Yeah.
The shapeshifting elk. And it was like a man. A woman was on TikTok, our trusted news source.
Took a picture of the deer, right?
Yeah. She got a picture of the deer. It was like an elk or something. And she said that there was an indigenous looking man like running towards her. He even had a weapon in his hand. And as he got closer, he literally turned to the side and shapeshifted into a deer or an elk with antlers and everything. And she said it happened so fast. She got her phone out. She got a picture of the animal, but she didn't get a picture of him shapeshifting. But she did get a picture, and it was weird. She said because in that picture, the animal is smiling, just looking at him smiling. So that's interesting, Beth. I'd love to hear more about that. So thank you. And
it's interesting because it puts something different to it, which is beings that are comfortable and enjoying shapeshifting, opposed to what we would see something like American Werewolf in London, David Naughton. It's very painful, and always the transformations, except for maybe those corny ass Twilight movies. It's always painful, the transformation into another being, another creature.
Yeah,
that's interesting. But this shows that that's not really the case. That's movie magic only, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those, like, it's like when the orb is like, these women need to get out and have this in their reality. So it's like, cue the man elk, and like send it out like the Truman Show to be in their experience. I don't know. It's so weird. Reality just took a left turn on me today with that. It did. That's wild. So yeah. James says, I'm from North Georgia. I'm about as far north and east as you can get for Georgia. Oh yeah, then you know what I'm talking about. You're up in some Bigfoot country, James, for sure. And please be careful out there.
Cobb County.
Cobb County, no. Cobb County is more on the west side of the state. Yeah, he says that he lives over on the east side. He's east side. We're west side over here. So yes, but Georgia is full of.
Which area has more swamps? Just curious.
Swamp is down in South Georgia.
So
that's South Georgia. Yes, we have the Okefenokee swamp down there. And we actually have swamps up around here too. We had a swamp out at our farm. There's actually, so yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. Yeah, we ended up in some swampy areas on Monday. My dog decided to go roll around in that swampy mud, that still water, and was covered in mud. And she smelled horrible the whole ride home. And I couldn't do anything about it. So until I got home, and I had to squirt her down the water hose after we got home, and it smelled. My truck still stinks.
Is that why skunk apes smell so bad?
That why what smells bad?
Skunk apes.
Skunk apes. Yeah, probably so. Probably so. They don't. Sometimes you don't smell yourself. I guess I don't know. They don't know.
Most stuff I read, most of the time they're associated with the smell. Seems like more than a lot of the other Sasquatch are. It's just fascinating. That could be why.
Yeah. Well, I guess once you live outside, you're going to smell. You're going to smell weird if you live outside and you got hair all over you.
I got to tell you, no offense intended, but I don't appreciate the vibe that I get from the swamp. Mm-hmm. The vibe that I get from the swamp is so many of my ancestors ran through there with no shoes and stuff. When I've been down there in the thickets and the stuff I've seen, it seems almost impossible. And it gives me a very bad feeling. You know what I mean? I just got to be honest. I did not enjoy it much.
Yeah, the vibe, the swamp does hold a lot of, swamps are not like flowing water. Usually it's like still water a lot of times. And it's a very, still energy. It's just like kind of stuck. But there's a lot of beautiful wildlife out there too. It's just a little stinky. And yes, Phoenix says Jessica's truck smells like lemon pledge. No, it doesn't. It still stinks actually. I haven't cleaned it out all the way yet. I'm gonna take it to the car wash today though. Okay, I got one of those unlimited car wash things. Okay, because my dog stinks so bad when we go places like that.
I think something very important that we should just tap on again, although it's already been said twice, but I think it's very important, is that these beings are coming out of portals.
Yes.
And at places where you have these portals or portal activity is where you tend to have more of these negative events happening also that seem to be more dangerous. And you have these things coming through these portals that are very dangerous. That's very interesting. I think it's noteworthy, because I've had some situations like per se. Okay, I mentioned before that I had a client, and this thing looked like something like a cross between the lamprey and the salt vampire from the original Star Trek. It looked a lot like this, but it had these flaps. Yeah. I kept seeing this old individual, and this wasn't some sort of a exorcism I was doing. Everybody get that straight, all right? This is something else I'm doing. This is a regression, but yet this being is on them. Okay, really, it's looking at me, and for certain reason, I'm protecting. I know it can't jump me when it wanted to. Okay, and it was so disconcerting. But this is somebody that has spent a lot of time around an area that has portals. See, and it's unbeknownst to them so much that that's the type of area that they're in. But I know where they were at, and there's a lot of portals around there, and there's something that come out of that portal and jumped on them, I'm pretty sure. And it makes me a little creeped out because it makes you wonder, like, okay, we know where the exit aperture is here in our dimension, in our vibration, whatever. Where's the entry aperture at? Where's the entry point? Where are these things coming from? Yeah. I mentioned earlier different levels of fluidity and things like that, these different dark levels. It's really kind of extremely creepy. Was it another planet? I mean, who knows? It's just hard to tell. Another dimension or what? I think come from somewhere out of one of them portals and jumped that individual. And it was so entwined in him, Jessica. Sorry, I wasn't there to banish that thing. I just wound up ending the session. You know what I mean? Because it's too much. And it's so entwined, I think that they would need probably a priest, a shaman, a medicine man, an exorcist, all four to get rid of that thing, I think. You know what I mean?
Gosh.
Yeah. Sometimes we got to pick our battles wisely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Well, like I was joking around with you, Barry, before the show. I was like, it looks worse than it is. I sent you a picture of what I put out on social media, and I was like, it actually looks worse than it probably is. I was like, I survived the night when I encountered one of these. Okay. I'm still here. It didn't eat me. Okay. They also, by the way,
that's very reassuring, Jones. Thank you. That makes you want to go out there for sure.
Oh my gosh! Well, here's another thing too. So one of the ways it's described is it has a very small mouth, like it can't really eat a whole lot, and that's why part of why its body is so famished, because it can't get food in its mouth because its mouth is so little. It's almost like an ET or something. But when it does eat, well, yeah, I was just thinking, like, people that are malnourished, I know we all used to watch those commercials on TV back in the 80s, especially, where they were like, my mom would always be like, there are children that would love to have this food. They'd show, if I wouldn't eat my food at night, she's like, we're going to send this to, from the commercials over here to these starving children. And, but they show like these children that were like starving and their bellies would be poking out, right? Mm-hmm. Whenever someone is starving, their bellies expand, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, like they'll be skin and bones, but they'll have like a big stomach. I don't know if that's like parasites or like it's just inflamed organs or what, but that is what these things look like, kind of, with their bellies, right?
Do you remember Sam Kinison?
Yes, the comedian.
Yeah.
Did
you ever see what he said about those commercials?
No. Oh Lord.
Look that up on YouTube. Sam Kinison on oh my God. Never mind. Forget it. You know what? I'll tell you this. My brother, about 1983, my brother come back from LA, and he'd been living there for years. And he was watching that. And he was laughing so hard. I was absolutely outraged.
Oh no.
The time we were the world, all that. But see what Sam Kinison said about that. It's just interesting.
Okay, I'll look it up. Not here. Okay, right now, but I'll look it up. Yeah, that was a big thing.
It'll take like 5 minutes.
Yeah, my mom was always like, and we always would hear it like, look, if you don't eat your food, there's starving children in Africa that will eat that and stuff, and that's what, and it always made me think of those commercials. Yeah. So, Urso says, look up the Sumerian mask, Mascum Zul, XUL. They are the same representation of those. Very interesting. I will look that up. And Beth says, is Beth a nurse? I think Beth's a nurse, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember, Beth. I think you are. Can't remember. But she says it's the stomach eating itself expands in starvation. That's what it is. That is so sad. Very sad. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate that. Yes. Okay. Well, oh yeah. Damn it. I forgot what I was about to say. I had a whole other thing. I think we covered most of this. I think we've covered most of this. But I got to say, I'm not stopping going to the woods because I ran into this thing. Okay. This happened a long time ago. I said it never ate any of us. We all survived. Nothing has ever come at us, Barry. Nothing has ever come at us, no matter what. Which makes me wonder.
No, you just got
that kind of came in our camp.
Well, you're hearing voices out there.
Well, it didn't come in our tents or anything. It didn't but here's another thing. This is the same place where I had an orb that floated in my tent one night. And it hovered over me, observing me.
Was that when your son was with you?
No, I don't take Ben up to this place. No, he doesn't go with me.
What happened? What happened?
I was laying we actually have this on video. We were all camped out of the same location. I had my tent beside, it was probably about 5 feet from the next tent, which is pretty close for us. We usually camp far. I put my tent way off from everybody usually, just in case I snore. Okay. And stuff like that. Cause we sleep pretty hard out in the woods. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no 5G, there's none of that. It's you and nature, and that's it. There's no phone service, and you sleep like a baby out there. Really? But anyways, unless the Bigfoots, and that's why the Bigfoots are able to come into our camps, I think, because we're sleeping so hard. They come in the camp when they hear us snoring. Because I've stayed up listening to people snoring, and that's when the Bigfoots have come into our camp. Okay. But anyways.
Interesting.
So I'm laying in my tent. I used to take this big tent. It was like a 6-man tent at least. It was huge. Even had a closet in it and everything. It was big. And I would go and I did that on purpose, kind of, because I didn't want to get poked by a Bigfoot. Like they'll stick their finger in your tent and like poke you. Well, I would put my
I have heard that.
Yes. Well, I would put my cot, like I take like a cot you fold up and like it's got legs on it. And, I put my pad down on it and like my sleeping bag. And I have like a bed, full out bed. I go glamping in there. I take rugs and everything. Okay. Lamps, lanterns. It's all good.
Glamping. Okay.
Glamping, glamorous camping. Well, it's not really glamorous, but to me it is out there. But I used to put my cot in the middle of that big gigantic tent. So if something wanted to poke at me, it'd have to like put its whole, it'd have to come right in. It'd have to really work to get to me. Okay. And so I used to do that. But anyways, I was in my big tent. And that night that thing screamed and the Preta came through, I put my cot on the far side so I could be closer to the people beside me so they could hear me scream. If something were to happen. It was pathetic. It was really sad that I felt like that. But anyways, so I'm laying in my tent one night, and everybody had gone to their tents and gone to bed, gone to sleep, whatever. And I was just laying there, listening. I started hearing some snoring from across the way, and just kind of listening for Bigfoot. And this white orb, it was a translucent big orb. It was about this big. Boop. Okay, it was about that big. And it came, it was bigger than a softball. It was big. And it came and it just floated it came in through the side of my tent, and it hovered over me for a little bit, and it moved around just a little bit, but it was like it was observing me. And then eventually, it was about 2-3 minutes, maybe it stayed there for a while. And I kept thinking I was seeing things. I was like, there's no way. I kept like blinking my eyes and making sure my contacts weren't messed up, get my contacts in. And it floated out. Well, little did I know it was caught on camera. We had cameras pointing at our tents. And you can see an orb going into my tent, out of my tent, and into the next tent over after it left my tent. So it was observing all of us.
What other activity did you have that night or out there?
Mm-hmm.
Sasquatch activity or?
Well, that's a place where we've definitely had some other stuff happen. I don't know, just other stuff. Like, it's a place where you don't get good vibes. Okay. So that's one thing. We're up there. We're always being watched. Okay.
Oh, sorry. This is the same place then?
It's the same place. Yeah, it's the same place.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
I'm talking about some of the things that happened at that same camp that we go to, where the portal opened. Okay. Well, I can't really talk about it without giving the location away. So I can't really talk about a whole lot of it. Okay. But just know we've had a lot of, I'm not just saying it's not all Bigfoot. It's not all Bigfoot. It's other stuff. Paranormal things happen there. Okay. ET stuff happens there. And most of the time it kind of leaves us alone. Like, it doesn't really come into our camp, whatever it is. We drive out at night and like go to different locations and then come back there to sleep at night. You know what I mean? So the whole place is just high strangeness. And it's out of respect for my team. I'm not going to talk about too much of it. Okay. I've given enough information out so far. All right. About it. But just know, places where there's a little bit of high strangeness, there's actually a lot of high strangeness. Usually you just got to pay attention to it and be in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time, and be around the right people. And that's why it's important. If you're going to go out there, first of all, camping, don't go by yourself, please. Y'all don't go camping by yourself. That's my advice. But if you do go, have your head on straight and be ready for anything, because you never know what's going to happen out there. You don't know. I mean, we don't know how these portals show up. Like, is there a rhyme and a reason for it, Barry? Like you had mentioned earlier, like, how do we don't know where these things are just going to open. Is that a portal that's always there and it just opens like every 3 years or every 24 hours? That was the only time we've ever experienced that up there in all the years that we've been going. So,
that, and there's something else that I've maybe mentioned before, and it sounds corny when I say it, but there's an episode of the original Star Trek where they go into an alternate universe, and they're actually living the lives of the other them. And Captain Kirk had this device in his quarters that allow him to maintain command, and that they opened it up and they called it something atomic. I can't remember what they called it, but they it sees the person, they push the button, and they just boom, they disappear. But they go into basically oblivion, I guess. But when dealing with that type of technology and connecting it with the missing 411, and the people are suddenly in those labs that you remote viewed and saw, I think we're dealing with the technology quite like that. When you press it, they pop out and they're gone. And you look at some of those reports that missing 411 has done. He describes how sometimes the people are almost just a few feet away, and they just disappear. I'm almost in the blink of an eye. I find that fascinating. Yeah, and very dangerous too. But when the ability to make people suddenly not be there.
Yeah, missing persons. Corey wants to know, why do we camp in an area with bad vibes? Because I'm a cryptid field researcher, and that's what I do. And so we go to where the worst vibes could ever be, and we go set up shop, and we go wait to be probed. We just go to get probed.
Hey, what was his name?
Corey, that's Corey Cole. He was on my show Saturday night.
That's exactly what I was wondering myself, my friend. So I didn't have the testicular fortitude to ask.
Because that's what we do. Yeah, that's what we do. You know what? It's bad vibes, but it's if we're fine, and we go there because, well, here's the thing. Why is it bad vibes too? Is it just because something doesn't want us there? And it's putting off that energy to like not come up. Well, that's where we want to go, because that's where the activity is. It's like that infrasound stuff. It's like, it's letting us know, like, don't go there. Well, that's sometimes if you want to go experience things, you got to go where the bad vibes are. Sorry, just do. You don't have to, but we choose to sometimes. And it's not always bad vibes, but it's 90% bad vibes up there. Okay, 90% of the time. There's 10% of the time it's fine. Yeah, it's not 100. We've been up there before. It was not that bad, but that's not normal. That's not normal. But yeah, but this has been awesome. My alarm went off. I got to go pick up my kid. I have to set an alarm so I don't forget. Thank you so much for being here, Barry. And I really do appreciate all of your input.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me. Like I said, it was unexpected. It was fun. So sorry if I didn't have a whole lot of stuff to add this time, but I learned a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I learned more than
it was awesome, Barry. And these are just, I forgot to show all these pictures, y'all. So I'm going to show them right here at the very end. These are just some depictions of the Preta. Okay. And it looks really sad. That's actually a Buddhist monk right there. With a Preta. These are some like historical, paintings of where they live and the way they're portrayed, of course. And so you guys can look them up online. I'm sorry I forgot to show all these pictures today. But they even have festivals where these are a big deal in some parts of Asia and in India. Those are depictions of Pretas. It's a man and a woman.
Interesting hands.
Long fingers.
That takes us into modern horror films quite a bit.
It does. It actually kind of reminds me of that body that washed up at Montauk. Brian Minnick from Montauk is Strange came on the show, and we were talking. He showed us a drawing that was in the newspaper, and it was of a body that had washed up on shore. It looked like a gray alien almost, but it was a human, and it had long fingers like that. Had long fingers.
I just saw recently this creepy movie on Sci-Fi Channel. It's called Come Play With Me. As the kid is like autistic and he's only got his thing that he can use, his little pad, and this thing starts communicating with him, saying, I want to be your friend. And it's something that looks like that thing that you just showed.
Really?
It's kind of really good. It's using electricity to manifest itself. It was really, I was like, I almost messaged you to say, God, if you got sci-fi, you should look at this. But it was disturbing. But it is what it is. Yeah.
Northwest Native Tracker says Bigfoot kills those things. Probably does. Maybe so. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's, that's a place where we encountered. If you're talking about the Pretas, that's where we go Bigfooting. So it's interesting that's.
I find that interesting. It can kill them, but it runs from the finger witch.
Oh, spear finger.
Yeah, it runs from spirit finger, right?
Yes.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Spearfinger goes after the Bigfoots up there, actually. Yeah,
the babies, right?
Yeah. Well,
okay, that same area. That same area. Okay, I got you.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Y'all, I know. Like I said, this is a place where mythological creatures, creatures of folklore, are in. They intersect with reality right there. Okay, the Appalachian Mountains, y'all. Okay, and so that's why we go there. So yeah, don't live in fear, y'all. Live in awareness. Okay, and I'm only telling you guys all about this because we need to, we're just looking at the big picture of things. And when it comes to the portals, Barry and I do talk about portals extensively, and quite often we bring up portals. And so it's good to be, it's full disclosure on the portal stuff today and what my team saw and experienced coming out of those, a portal in the base camp. Okay. This is probably stuff you're not going to hear from a lot of people, y'all. This is in 3D, really happened. It was right here in our faces, and I experienced it personally myself. This is not a story that I'm telling from somebody else. This happened to me. Okay. So I hope y'all enjoyed it today. Okay. And I'm sure this will come back up a little bit more. I've never spoken extensively to this extent ever about that. Okay. So you're welcome, everybody. No, just kidding. Barry, where can everybody find you? Tell everybody about your YouTube channel and what you got going.
You can find me on YouTube under Barry Littleton. My email is barrylittleton13@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook under YouTube or under Barry Littleton. Excuse me. And on Facebook also Barry Littleton. YouTube is a good place. I'm trying to do some stuff on there still. And if you do go on there, please subscribe and please check out the playlist. There's a ton of stuff on the playlist that won't come up otherwise. So thank you.
Oh, awesome. Barry, you're the best, man. I really do appreciate all of the research that you do. And we will listen, I will put the links below in the comments today. I think I promised y'all some on Monday too, but I didn't get around to it because I went to the woods right after the show. But we'll do that today. I will catch up on everything today, and I'll be back here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. with a remote viewing target for you guys, and it'll surely be a good time. They always are. Okay, well, y'all have a wonderful day. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Go subscribe over to Barry's channel, y'all, and stay safe out there. Yes, we're out there getting chased by Pretas, so y'all don't have to. Or I am, at least. Okay. And Barry, I'll see you later. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, everybody in the audience. Take care.
Of course. Thank you to everybody, all my moderators for being here today, too. Y'all are the best. All right, everybody. Bye.